course, we have the latest happening in Georgia, where the voting is underway right now. Peach State residents making their choice between Democrat incumbent Raphael Warnock or Hershel Walker.
Let's check in now with senior correspondent John Huddy. He is live on the ground in Georgia with the latest. John, where are you?
We're in Sandy Springs, which is just outside of the downtown metro Atlanta area. So it's about 30 minutes roughly north of Atlanta. And these are the areas that both candidates, both Hershel Walker and Raphael Warnock, have been stumping pretty hard in. This is in Forsyth County. There's a strong base of support for Hershel Walker here. But over the weekend, Raphael Warnock was here, also joined by New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, trying to basically galvanize Democratic voters to get out and vote here. And by the way, early voting numbers have been very strong here, John and Bianca. In fact, according to the Georgia Secretary of State office, more than 181,700 voters and counting, those numbers really have been changing by the hour, have cast a ballot during early voting, which started on Saturday here in Georgia. Excuse me, if you look at the numbers and kind of break it down, turnout has been especially strong among black voters who have cast more than 84,000 ballots, according to the Secretary of State's data, or 46% of the vote. And then kind of looking even more and kind of digging into the numbers even more, there's been a strong turnout of female voters who represent 57% of the early vote. And then as far as the age groups, 50 to 7 years old, and also the 18 to 24-year-old demographics, a very strong turnout, at least according to Sunday's data as well. So how that translates, possible indication, you guys, is that the pretty high in Rockdale, DeKalb, and Fulton counties. These are essentially the Atlanta downtown metro areas, and they voted strongly for Senator Raphael Warnock back in November, as you may recall. Still, some of the latest polls, including one from Phillips Academy, or at least a poll from Phillips Academy, shows that Hershel Walker is up by 1 percentage point over Warnock. So it remains neck and neck. Some polls last week showed Warnock was still ahead, but this latest one shows that now Walker may be taking the lead. Now, as we know, as we've been reported, as we've talked about extensively, both have really gone after each other with a torrent of vicious ads. Warnock attacking Walker, his honesty, his credibility, his intellect, basically bringing up the allegations against Walker from women who say that he pressured them to have abortions. Of course, a contrast to his anti-abortion stance, something that Walker denied, has denied publicly, his campaign's denied. He denied to me when I did an exclusive interview with him just right before the general election. Then Walker, in kind, has attacked Warnock's campaign, basically allegations and reports of marital problems. Also, his work with the Ebenezer Baptist Church, where he's the senior passenger. He gets a $7,500 housing allowance every month. And of course, this church made headlines a couple months ago, as we reported, for its management and ownership of low-income properties and allegations that it was trying to evict residents, low-income residents, during the COVID-19 pandemic. So, you know, whether or not they can both candidates can galvanize their base to get out and vote and push them ahead remains to be seen. But again, it's been a contentious, it's been a tough, and it's been a bitter fight right to the end here. John, Bianca, back to you.
All right. John Huddy watching everything from the ground there. We appreciate it, John. Good to have you in today.
All right, we're heading down to the home stretch for the Georgia runoff. Let's welcome in now former Georgia Congressman Doug Collins. He was the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee. Also, always great to have you back with us, Doug.
Hey, John Bianca, it's good to be with you as well.
Great.
All right, so give us your take on what you think about John's report there, the early voting, and how things are coming down to the wire for both these candidates.
Well, look, the early voting is decidedly Democrat. I mean, this is because mainly the counties that went ahead and opened up Saturday for early voting as opposed to today were mainly Democratic counties of DeKalb County, Cobb County, Fulton County. And that's why you see the percentage totals of who's voted in the black vote, the white vote, the male and female. That's why you see that percentage is the way you do. Now the whole state is open back up. You're going to see a lot more voting. It is good to see people turning out because this is the only race on the ballot for, I would say, most of Georgia. So seeing them turn back out is good. What's going to happen now is Hershel Walker, to win, has got to turn out in districts like the 9th District, the 14th District, the 10th District, the 8th District, which are solid Republican districts that he did not perform as well in on the general election day. So those are the areas that they've got to just focus on, just getting people to the polls. Ads, all of them are, that's just superfluous at this point. It's getting people to the polls.
Mm-hmm. Doug, can you just give us like some cities? I'm not as familiar with the Georgia districts as I once was once upon a time. Just talk about those cities and the counties maybe where Hershel has to get the voters out.
Yeah, no problem. I apologize.
It's okay.
The 9th district is my old district. It's the Northeast Georgia. It is the mountain districts. It's Gainesville all the way up to Blue Ridge, Rayburn County. Then you got the 14th district. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene district. This is Dalton, Rome, those areas. 10th district, Athens. 8th district, you got Warner Robins, Valdosta, those areas right in there. So it's really that more rural mix of counties need to turn out, which frankly did not turn out as high for Herschel as they did for other Republican candidates a few weeks ago. That's why these are so important looking ahead.
Right.
Yeah, and the military community in Warner Robins area too as well. It's an important vote for Herschel. And these are votes he should be getting. Marjorie Taylor Greene's district, your old district, these are votes that should be going for Herschel. We'll keep an eye on that. I also want to talk to you about what Raphael Warnock's campaign is up to. Apparently they're reaching out to other states. Don Lucre, who is a resident of Tennessee, hasn't voted in Georgia for years, but he was called by the Warnock campaign and he recorded the entire exchange. Here's what it sounded like.
Wanted to make himself president forever. I'm sorry, that is fascism, and that's why.
What's fascism now is Joe Biden's son getting $1 billion from Ukraine prior to the war, and them sending billions back to that country. That's fascist. That's very fascist. I don't agree with us sending all our money down there when you have poor kids in Atlanta and homeless in Atlanta. That's not, you see. And that's what we get. Don't call a Republican trying to have me vote for no damn Senator Warnock.
Autocrats like Putin and Bolsonaro. And
What do you think about that?
I'm surprised they stayed on the line as long as they did. Look, you're seeing. Look, the one thing the Warnock campaign has plenty of money is money. I mean, they're spending it faster than they can't spend it fast enough as much as they're getting it in. But this is what is interesting. And there was a conversation, John, I think you'll appreciate this. A few years ago, Jason Carter, who is the grandson of Jimmy Carter, ran for Senate, ran for governor, I apologize, here in the state of Georgia. And Warnock is spent vast more than Jason Carter did about 8 years ago now, and only got 1% better in the poll in the actual election results. There's some Democrats actually sitting here saying, wait, why are we spending so much money? What's being done here? Because we're not seeing the results that they would expect to from an incumbent senator who spent so much money to do this. It just shows that the voters are not buying what Warnock's selling.
Right. I know they're going to send Obama there next week to be on the campaign trail with him.
It's only been 2 years, right, since he ran for Senate the last time, and he's been a constant figure. What else is there to say other than hit Herschel Walker, which is what he's doing a lot of?
Yeah. And we want to get your take on the current governor, Brian Kemp. Little scoop here from Axios saying that he has filed paperwork with the Federal Election Committee, Doug, to create a federal PAC. What do you think he's up to here? Some are saying this could mean he wants to run for U.S. Senate. Where do you think he's looking ahead? Clearly, he just put out an ad for Herschel. They hadn't campaigned a lot together, but what do you think Kemp may be up to by launching this PAC?
Yeah, well, number one, Kemp and Walker did not campaign at all together before the general election. So having Kemp back in the governor in Walker's camp is very helpful. Look, the PAC is simply his ability to spend on federal candidates. He has been a state candidate which can accept money that federal candidates cannot. So he could not use any of the money that he's raised for his state governor's election and other things to help, candidates like Walker or others around the country. So you've got to have a federal PAC to do that because they can't take corporate money, which you can in Georgia under state PAC rules. So it's a little different here. I doubt very seriously Governor Kemp is looking at a 4-year race now from Senate at this point in time. He could be later on, but not right now. This is simply gives him an ability to play on a national level in federal elections and just use the idea and the name that he has to raise that money and help others across the country.
Well, obviously Herschel's camp is glad he's out with him.
Yeah, to make a big difference. He's very popular. And of course, when you win an election like the one he just won so handily, there are a lot of people in your ear. Oh, you should run for president or governor or senator or whatever. But we'll see. Congressman Doug Collins, always great to see you. Thanks so much.